not saying that he's not.
You are loud too, Tori. I was doing my radio show next door, and you're loud.
Did you hear me?
Just loud and away.
We were making lots of jokes.
No D-Let?
And no Zeno. Where's Zeno?
They quit. They quit. Daniel.
How you doing, right? You good?
Oh, man, I'm awesome. Kidding me? You guys go. You guys ready back there? Oh, you?
You guy ready back there?
You ready back there? What do you got? Who's going first?
I guess I'll go first.
Go ahead, Mark.
Why not? After going back and watching the tape, I just want to ask you about Michael Penix Jr. and what you saw from him after the second watch.
It was really the same. I watched it, and like I said last night, I think I said, I was really pleased with his composure, his poise, his ability to click through progressions. There was a couple throws that he wants back. The back shoulder fade to Drake. He probably wants a little bit higher. The missed connection on the early third down, we missed it right before he missed the field goal. He probably wants that back. The decision at the end of the half, not necessarily on him, but like he just feels like he can make a better play there and end the half with points. But realistically, man, it was a pretty clean game at the quarterback position. And I'm very pleased with what he did and how he did it and the support that he had around him.
There were a few uncharacteristic drops. I think coming into the game, I think you guys were like second fewest among teams in drop passes. And
Sure.
A few early. Is that just getting used to the new quarterback, the different spin?
We kind of talked about that. We figured that would happen. It was a little bit different zip on the ball with Michael. Probably catch you off guard, particularly in the dome. That first play with Ray, that keeper to Drake. Those are the two drops you're referring to that I remember right off the back early. We talked about the reps with these guys, not having as many. So things like that are going to happen. But I do like the fact how we're able to keep playing and pushing and watch the guys get better and better as we went. So that's a positive sign as well.
Is there a way to accelerate kind of that process of getting chemistry with the receivers? Because it is kind of a unique situation, right? We're at the end of the season. Is there a way to kind of catch them up quicker?
All it is practice. The amount of practice reps you get together. Those guys put the extra work in last week to get the results that they got this week, and I don't think they'll leave it at that this week. I think they'll put the extra work in this week to try to get those things done as well.
One of the things about Michael in the pre-draft process was he was knocked a lot for not being willing to throw over the middle, and this is something.
Was he? I didn't know that.
He was.
Was he?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He was.
Twitter, man.
I'm not on that thing.
Stay away. It's not a fun place to be. But a part of this offense is the mismatch that Drake London specifically presents over the middle of of defenses. And I'm curious, kind of as you were going through the film and watching Michael dissect the parts of the field that were open for him, how you felt like he was, I don't know, just in the moment dissecting things.
Yeah, Tori, it's like funny because I wouldn't have said that like going into the game about the middle thing. I just didn't feel that way. Like I know at Washington he had a lot of one-on-ones on the outside with Rome, and he did a couple different things like that. But, for us, since he's been here, since you guys have seen it, he's been a steady progressor across it, and whether it be a backside basic or clicking into those things on a shallow cross, whatever the case may be, he's done that really efficiently and effectively for us. So I don't even know the history of it all, but like what he did yesterday was absolutely go through his progressions in rhythm, like the diagonally through the Mooney. I forget what quarter it was, but later in the game at some point, being to do some of those things, and I just thought he did a great job of really taking what was given to him, looking at his reads, throwing to open receivers, and really putting some nice zip on it.
Probably an undervalued part of the game yesterday was how clean the pockets were that he was operating out of. I'm just curious from your perspective, knowing that Brian Burns was one of those guys that they were having to contend with, how you felt like this offensive line held up. Not
just Burns. You had Thibodeau out there, and those guys are really effective pass rushers. I actually did a study on those guys early in the season. We're talking about best pass rushers in the league, and they were one of the guys that had it at the time when I did the study. So I went back and looked at the Giants, was able to grade those guys. Obviously, the big man in the middle wasn't there, but our O-line did a great job on these two phenomenal edge rushers, and along with our tight ends, along with our backs, and everybody that's a part of our protection units, and being able to go out there and really keep the pocket clean. No sacks. He probably got hit a couple times. I'm not sure exactly the number. And he was able to actually step away from a few things and dump the ball off or get it out on the potential sack that they did have. So another sign of maturity from the quarterback. Great job by the O-line. Great job by the O-line coaches. Nice sound plan by Zach Robinson and his staff. And I think it was a great job.
I know this is hypothetical, but to the extent that Michael played well yesterday, do you think he could have done that a week ago, 2 weeks ago? 4 weeks ago.
I'm going to give you to Mike Tomlin. I don't speak in hypotheticals. I think he did his job when his job was required, and he went out and he played at a very high level for us. And unfortunately, it was the right time for us.
Well, I want to start on Zach Robinson. You mentioned the drives you guys had. I think it was 12 plays, and
Yeah.
how well he managed that. Is that kind of just an example of how much he's matured?
That's what I mean. That's kind of what I said yesterday, I think, Daniel. I talked about, like you get into those games, and those games don't happen often in the NFL, right? When you get a chance to have those type of leads. So you don't really practice that, right, from an offense or defensive standpoint. So the maturity level on really both sides of the ball as play callers of not, being stat greedy and finding ways to win the football game and being able to control the ball the way we did, get easy completions when we had an opportunity to get them, and run the football and really be methodical about your plan and your approach in order to win the football game. And that is 100% a sign of maturity for Zach as a play caller, not as a human. Zach's a grown man, but to talk about as a play caller, this is his first year doing it, and he's doing it at a high level, in my opinion.
We were talking to Mooney yesterday about when Penix first came in and how he and Mooney kind of used the colorful language to describe it, but he was a little bit impatient in the pocket, and he would just, he was just very excited to get the ball out and just pass as quickly as possible. Have you seen him settle down since the OTAs and training camp? More patient?
Taking me back. I was excited with him from rookie camp when I got a chance to see him progress a couple of things in rookie camp. And I've watched him get better. So Mooney's probably spot on when you're talking about all those things. But Mooney probably doesn't have all the recall because he really wasn't working with him. He was working with Chris Blair and Drummond and some of these other receivers. So I watched him really play with those guys and progress with those guys and get better as he goes through clicking through progressions, whether it's been scout team or whether it's been on those Mamba periods that we talked about. So I've seen it probably happen a little bit sooner, but definitely right now at this spot that he's at, he's a better football player than he was when he came in here when it comes to all of those things.
Jimmy has said that you were instrumental in those tweaks in the pass rush over the bye with your offensive experience and that mindset. I'm curious, without, getting into the nitty-gritty and company secrets and all that, what were you seeing that allowed for this kind of, for those tweaks?
So you get a point in a time that you get a chance to go back and evaluate what you have and who you have. And like we all think we know all of these players, but you really don't know these players till you actually have them and you have them at your disposal. And you're able to watch them go rush. And then when you get a chance to watch you walk away and get away, and Jimmy takes himself and takes a little self-scout like we talked about, and I get away and get a little self-scout. And then when you come back together with a collaborative effort with our D-line coaches and Jock and Jay and all the guys, Timu and all the guys that are involved, you have some thoughts and some visions for what people can do and what they can really do well, and you just bring it to the table. And then, Jimmy can give me the credit, but it's up to all of us really to put them in and implement the things and understand what we want to get done in order for us to rush as one. So when all those things happen, you got to give credit not just to me, but to really our entire coaching staff for having the humility, first of all, and to come together and do those things and not being just egotistically driven that it's going to be a one-man show that has to have 20 sacks. But how do we rush together in order to get our things to work how we want to make them work?
Is the same theory true for the secondary, which appears to have tightened things up of late, or is that a function of the pass rush making their lives a little easier?
So it all ties in together, right? How you cover and how you rush kind of all ties in together. So you started off the season, it was really tight coverage and it was really good and it was limiting people to a really low number of reception rates. And I think our completion rate was really high, but it was really low numbers on catch tackles, and it was getting us off the grass and we were winning. And then you hit that low, and how could you change it and how could you help affect the pass rush better when you hit that little skid? And it was tighter coverage. It was getting up there. It was AJ and Hughes really stepping up to the plate, Alf and going out there and Glow, going out there and making some big-time plays at the slot position. And really it's kind of all what happens, all encompassing when you're talking about doing it all, Josh. And I couldn't be more proud to watch those guys get better and better every single week. I know we all want this immediate product right away, but that's just not how football works. And you get better and better as the process goes, and you either get better or you get worse. And this team definitely has a growth mindset across the board.
I know it's probably the byproduct of what I feel like I have to look at to do my job. I feel as though during Pro Bowl time, you get to hear about all these different players across the league who are the best at what they do. And you look at different numbers and you see who's talking about who. There's not a lot nationally, I think, made of A.J. Terrell and his play and and what it's been recently for you guys. So I'm curious from your perspective why he is such an important piece of what y'all try to do here.
You could put AJ on just about anybody and just look the other way. And that's who he is. That's who he's always been. Coming out of college, when he got here as a rookie, till right now, there's no questions asked. What do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? And who do you want me to cover? And you can just do that just about at any time. And there's not very many people like that. I was fortunate enough to coach one like that in Jalen Ramsey. I was fortunate enough to coach one like that in Aqib Talib. And A.J. Terrell fits right into that cloth of great corner that you were fortunate enough to coach that can just go cover anybody with no regard or no care in the world.
Do you think that it could be taken as a compliment that you're not having national people talk about him and what he's doing, that it is flying under the radar? Can that be seen as a positive for his game, that the ball is actively being thrown away from him?
Yeah, sometimes as a corner, it's like the tackles, right? If you're not talking about tackles, they're probably doing something really good, Corner's like the same position, right? If you're not talking about it, they're probably doing something pretty good, You give up the sacks at tackle, they talk about you. It's like, man, it's all bad. You give it the touchdowns and the big catches at corner, the same thing. So, when you kind of are racing things, that's kind of the main thing that happens at corner for you, other than, getting the splash plays and the interceptions, which he has a couple of those when he's had his ops, but he's been outstanding for us all year.
Here's my ignorance, but how many times have you faced Dan since y'all left here?
Cowboys twice, maybe?
Okay.
Was the Cowboys twice? You don't know. He doesn't know.
That's all me.
Yeah. I think it was the Cowboys. We played the Cowboys, I want to say twice. It could be just once, but for sure once. They kicked our butts up there last year.
Any significance to that matchup as you're both, again, head coaches going into this game?
I hate this guy. We got to go get him. No. Man, it's always fun to play against your friends, your confidants, your mentors, your whatever you want to look at it as, that we've been able to grow up with throughout this whole process. Dan coaching me in college and then having a chance to work together, then having a chance to really follow the same path to the National Football League, and then to now be in the fortunate position to being head coaches in this awesome league, right? And have a chance to compete against each other at a very high level with high stakes online and in prime time and all of those things. But I just enjoy those moments of being able to go against guys that you care about and being able to enjoy those moments to go against guys when it's right now. But this week, man, he's got to be a nameless great face and got to go out there and get a win.
Do you guys communicate any during? Do you have time to communicate any during the season? Swap texts?
Yeah, obviously you swap texts, on normal weeks. I won't talk to him this week. I'll ban him this week. I'll block him on my phone. But, obviously we talk.
Did the conversation between y'all two, did two of you ever come up this year about rookie quarterbacks? I'm wondering if you said anything to him like, what's life with a rookie like?
No, that has not come up, Josh. That's a good question, but it hadn't. Obviously, during the draft, all those things came up, but nobody wants to tell anybody nothing. We all got our secrets until we shocked the world at pick 8. But nobody really talks about those things. It is what it is.
Did you watch the Buccaneers game on last night?
I did not, man. I am not the emotional roller coaster guy. I do not like to watch those games with anything ill in my heart, so I try not to.
How did you find out that?
When I woke up this morning on the ESPN app.
What was your,
Hey.
what was your reaction?
Closed the phone and realized that we had the pin back. Got to go keep it.
Anything else? It was twice. 2022, 2023.
There you go. Look at that guy. Research.